So I'm sure fear is something you face not only on your own journey and have faced on your own journey, but have to help other people through. What do you do with fear?
You befriend it. You befriend it. And I know that sounds a little funny, but fear is just another beautiful aspect of yourself that wants to be seen, heard, loved, and understood. Just like your inner child, just like your ego, just like your inner critic. Every single part of you, I love to say they all have wisdom. There is all wisdom behind every single one of those parts. And what I've learned about my fear is just sit her down, get to know her, get to understand what is it that she's afraid of, and to hold her through that, to support her through that. And when I work with people around fear, oftentimes the fears that we have in our own minds, we create these stories that are much larger, much grander than what's actually in front of us, because we want to stay safe. And that's a lot of times why the fear exists, is because we want to create safety and familiarity. That's what we're designed to do at a very fundamental level. And I think people forget that because we walk around with these, we got fancy technology and AI and blah, blah, blah. But at the root of who we are primal beings, and our one goal is survival and procreation, but survival. And if we can really understand that, and that fear comes along and I can sit with it, the thing isn't so scary anymore, because the thing now feels seen and heard and feels like it has space to come out of that closet and to take a little bit of shape and form. And it's one of the most powerful teachers we have is our fear. Because again, fork in the road, we can either choose fear or we can choose love. And the path to fear, or the path down fear lane, never leads anywhere good, maybe for a little while. But at the end of the day, if we're allowing fear to guide our decisions and to be the driver of our lives, it's kind of hard to look at yourself in the mirror at the end of every day, because your soul knows that there's a disconnection. We come into the world through the lens of love, loving awareness, as Ram Dass used to say, loving awareness. That's all the ways that we've seen the world. And then it changes as we get older, as things happen to us, as we're taught to look at the world with these different filters and these different glasses on. But we have the power to get back to that loving awareness. And we can do that. We can use our fear to help us get back to that lens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only way out of fear is through it, right? I had a teacher tell me once, fear is like the monster under the bed. And if you sit on top of the bed thinking that the monster is under there going to get you, hiding under the covers, you give it more power.
Yeah.
You get off the bed and gather the courage to look it in the eyes, and all of a sudden you realize it was mostly a fictitious imagination. You've probably heard the acronym false evidence appearing real. Fear is false evidence appearing real. Some fear is natural. We have emotions for a reason.
Totally.
No good and bad, just feedback. But how much of the thing that you are fearful of is a past story that you're still projecting onto the future, which is the brain's modus operandi, like you said, designed to protect you and try and predict the future. Can't predict the future, uses models of the past, and now we're in a good old clusterfuck of not moving anywhere and letting the fear win. And what that feels like, which I think you were describing, if you look in the mirror honestly with yourself, is that feels like being a coward if you let the fear win. So what's the alternative to being a coward? Is to be courageous, to be a warrior. Courage can be found in many, many ways. How instrumental for you has movement been in developing that confidence and courage?
So instrumental. I mean, I really believe how you do one thing is how you do everything. That is a quote that has guided a lot of my life. How I make my bed in the morning is how my day is going to be. And movement is that, drop in the ocean of my life that has these ripple effects. When I show up for myself in the gym, we build habits the same way. People think that going to the gym or building the habit of going to the gym is a different habit than, reading every day or stopping biting your nails. But if you break it down, James Clear fanatic here, but if you break it down to the atomic habit, what we're actually practicing is the habit of showing up for ourselves, the habit of honoring the commitments we make to ourselves. And, that the movement piece has allowed me, once that became a lifestyle, it's no longer something I think about like, oh, I have to go to the gym today. It's like, no, it's just part of my routine. It's part of what I do and part of who I am. And I've met myself so deeply in the gym. And, you know, I lift heavy weights because it allows me to carry heavy weight in the world. And I put myself under stress in the gym because it allows me to handle pressure out in the world. And also too, like we were talking about the kettlebell, when I flow with a kettlebell, people look like, oh, cool, she can do these flippy things and around the leg and blah, 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 blah. But to me, I am moving with a kettlebell the same way that I'm choosing to move in life.
Yeah.
My feet are grounded. I move with confidence, yet my heart is open. My hands are fluid. I'm allowing the weight of the kettlebell, like I am the weight of the world, to move me and for me to move with it. And we're doing a dance together. And yeah, movement has been, I mean, kettlebells was my first love, and that led me to Animal Flow.
Yeah.
Animal Flow led me to Steel Mace. Then I got led to Landmine University and landmines and rope. And, you know, it's never ending. And again, it's this constant deepening of the knowing of who I am, yet the fluidity and openness of what else do I have to learn that can only help me become deeper and more grounded in who I am.
All right, friends, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Radical Health Radio. We got a fresh new podcast for you every Wednesday. If you enjoyed the show, consider liking, subscribing, reviewing, and rating us on your podcast platform. It helps to spread this message of radical health. We'll see you next week.